are about to see is jaw-dropping, and it was passed over by the New York Times. The New York Times had an opportunity to run this story, and they didn't. We're going to show you this unbelievable film in just a moment. But what's more astonishing, however, might be the cover-up and the secrecy of this top-secret film. My guest today is Jon Stewart, former candidate for Illinois governor in U.S. Congress. He spent more than 5 years investigating, proving the provenance of this alleged film, this top-secret film, which we're about to show you, and which you are about to see. And it purportedly shows an alien, an extraterrestrial, biological entity being interrogated at the S2 facility in 1997 by members of the U.S. military. Yes, an alien creature being interrogated by members of the U.S. military. And just a few weeks ago, our guest, Jon Stewart, hand-delivered his entire investigation to Congressman Tim Burchett's office. And he's become the first non-government civilian to submit a report to the United States Congress regarding the extraterrestrial phenomenon. Jon, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here on Redacted.
Like most people back in 1997, this was a documentary that came out. I go to sit down and watch this documentary thinking alien interview. This is going to be like a weird humanoid looking person handing a clipboard over to a general at the Pentagon for a job interview. I mean, this is how my brain was thinking. And I'm sitting down, and 30 minutes into this documentary, this footage comes on. It's not professionally done. It doesn't have any cuts. There's people in the foreshadow. This gray alien is bone color, bone, like human bone. It's got round eyes, not almond-shaped eyes. If I'm hoaxing a video of a gray alien, it's going to be gray, and it's going to have the typical almond eyes. And this bizarre physiological monitor next to the being that goes up and down and not across the screen. And then Victor, the alleged whistleblower who claimed to have helped smuggle this out of Area 51, that's the way insiders talk of Area 51. And I don't think a 23-year-old screenwriter in 96 could have made up this script that Victor was talking about. I mean, the vernacular he used was bizarre, and he used a term called medical flagging. The creature starts to medically flag. And I asked my old doctor, who was about 65 years old at the time in 97, on my annual checkup, I said, what is medically flagging? He looked at me, he goes, where did you hear that from? That's like a Army medical term we used in the 50s and 60s. I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on here? And then there was some weird, an acronym on the bottom, DNI, David November Igloo /27. And Victor tells us that was the Department of Naval Intelligence. So I run for Congress 2 years later with this film in the back of my mind going, what is going on here? And I don't want to say his name anymore because I'm getting admonished for doing so, but I was on a political bus tour, and I went up to a senator during a break, and who has passed away now. And I said, Senator, what is the Department of Naval Intelligence? And Clayton, you look in my eyes. This guy went from jovial, happy senator to this aggressive look. And he looked at me and goes, you don't need to know anything about that. And he stormed off, and he never talked to me the rest of the tour. Clayton, you're a journalist. You're an investigative reporter too. I'm thinking, wait a minute. I got a hoaxed video with medical terminology from 50s and 60s. I've got a gray alien that's tan and round eyes, medical staff that are in short sleeve scrubs and not in biohazard suits to really hype up the video. I've got a monitor that I have never seen in, 35 years of my life back then. And I've got 3 letters on this hoaxed video that has just pissed off a United States senator. What in God's name is going on with this film?
So here it is. This is, again, it's silence. There's no audio on this. What are we looking at here as we play this film? What are we seeing on our screen, Jon?
Okay. Contrary to Victor's voiceover, this is a film shot April of 1991, a thought projection interview of a other gray, designated an other gray, an extraterrestrial biological entity. He is a haploid, which means he came with only one sexual chromosome. Human beings are diploids. For any microbiologists out there, if I'm hatcheting those words, I'm sorry. But this being had only one sexual chromosome. He came to the S2 alpha, the official designation of the underground facility that housed the Alien Interrogation and Retention Program. That's the unofficial name of what this was. They call these interview suites the ambassador suites because the government did try for the care and did treat these and look at these beings, and still do, as ambassadors from other planets and other dimensions. And if you hear David Grush coughing on his words, it's because he doesn't want to tell you that some of these beings are from other dimensions. And so this being was very ill at the time. He had a respiratory issue. Now, Sean David Morton also heard, I can't verify this veracity, that it's some sort of debilitation or disease with its heart-lung sac. It does not have a traditional heart. It's got a heart-lung one sac, which was the need for the special monitor, which goes up and down, does not go across, to monitor this bizarre heart-lung one sac organ that the alien has. And behind the viewing glass were 5 men, 2 telepaths. There is a researcher out there, but that's how bizarre this film has gotten. And I'm not even going to tell you anything about the telepaths because I don't want it to get into the Da Vinci Code. But even Doty said that the telepathic program, the people they hired, was ridiculous. They were like one step above 1-800 psychics back in the 80s and 90s. But there was 2 men in particular that were very in touch with these beings, and they would sit down with these aliens and these beings and immediately get information and relate it back to whatever military person was in the room. As you can see on the tape, the being eventually starts to medically flag, if I can use the whistleblower Victor's terminology, and he is then attended to by the medical staff. And Victor tells us that the medical staff in S2 and S4, are more chosen for their ability to keep secrets than their medical knowledge. And again, I have been in contact. I have the names of the 2 doctors that are going to be on either side of this beam. On the bottom, you're going to see DNI/27. That is the Department of Naval Intelligence. According to Richard Doty, there's like a conga line of different agencies waiting to insert their questions to this being in the 2-hour-long interview. The interviews are conducted about once a month.
What did you start to piece together from people who were in the room? And so when we say hoaxed video, I think you're saying that was what the assumption you had going into this, that this was hoax. That was sort of the media speculation about this. Now you've proven and taken it to the United States Congress, which, by the way, they're about to hold a hearing on this next week. And I think that this is, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be a big piece of this. And other whistleblowers are now confirmed to be coming forward to Congress next week. Civilian whistleblowers who are going to be testifying of the things that they've been a part of and seen.
Like Linda Moulton Howe told me when she saw the list, you have gold here. Why? No one has ever heard of these people before. And like Linda said, and these people are on Google and are real. And I said, yeah, they are. And she said, son, you got gold here. And so I got the list of names, but I know investigative journalism. That wasn't just enough just to have the names. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. So I started to vet every single person on the list. The first person was retired, working for TRW, and TRW. These are the men, by the way, who were behind the glass in the viewing gallery watching this thought projection interview. That's what it's called. It's not telepathy. It's actually called thought projection. And the first one worked for TRW. And I said, well, this is a hoax. He wasn't even in the military. Sean David Morton, who was in the office of the production company, who first got the call from Victor saying, I've got this VHS tape of an alien, said, no. TRW is like hand in hand with the government. They do every kind of secret project and whatnot. I said, wow. And Doty said that it was not filmed in S4. There are no alien housing there. The alien housing is in S2 Alpha. And I'm like, what's S2 Alpha? She sent me a satellite photo of it and said, that's what it is. It's called the Alien Retention Program. This being was brought in on a part of Project Pounce. Doty's like, I don't know the provenance of the being, but I think it was from the Kalahari crash where 2 beings were recovered. But the alien program, whether that be the retention, the interrogation, the biological reverse engineering of craft, that all is now taking place at Michael's Airfield at the Dugway Proving Ground. announced. The program to interview the beings in S2 was called Project Aquarius, which was basically all things about aliens and contact with human beings. And that is from the email, and that is also from Richard Doty's mouth, who is verified as the counterintelligence agent who is in his 70s and wants to tell the story, the truth of what's going on and what the government is covering up.
The